Friends, advocates, fellow citizens, we gather today to confront a conflict as ancient as human governance itself, a struggle that defines whether we live in the shadow or in light, whether we're subjects or sovereigns. This is the existential battle between the closed fist of authoritarianism and the open hand of free speech. These two forces, these two inherent philosophies of power, cannot coexist. They are oil and water. They are silence and sound. They are death and life to the very idea of progress. The architecture of silence, the authoritarian impulse. Let us first understand the nature of the threat. Authoritarianism is not merely a strong government. It is a system obsessed with control. Control not over borders and ballots, but ultimately over thought. The authoritarian playbook is timeless, and in its opening chapter is always the same: the dismantling of the independent voice. Why? Because consolidated power is fragile. It thrives on uniformity and depends on the simple, dangerous belief that the leadership is infallible. And the monument that one person, one writer, one journalist, one student stands up and says, that is not true, the entire facade of manufactured certainty begins to splinter. The first casualty of rising authoritarianism is not always war, but truth. The free press is labeled the enemy of the people. Education is rewritten to serve the state narrative. History becomes a weapon, and its dissent, no matter how reasoned or respectful, is redefined as betrayal, sedition, or terrorism. The goal is not just to silence the critic, but to ensure that everyone else hears the roar of the state and chooses preemptive silence. Authoritarianism does not need true believers. It only needs obedience, born of fear. The engine of truth, the powers of free speech. Now let us turn to the defense, to the fundamental right we call free speech. Free speech is more than just the liberty to voice a popular opinion. Any regime will allow you to praise the ruler. True free speech is the right to be wrong, the right to offend the powerful, and the right to challenge conventional wisdom. It is the lifeblood of a functioning democracy. It is the engine that allows society to self-correct. When we allow disagreeable or unpopular ideas into the marketplace of ideas, even those ideas we vehemently oppose, we do two critical things. We fortify the truth. If an idea is sound, it can withstand scrutiny. If it is weak or false, exposure to debate reveals its flaws. We hold power accountable. Free speech is the only nonviolent tool citizens possess to pull back the curtain and expose corruption, injustice, and overreach. Without this right, the most vulnerable among us are stripped of their primary means of defense. If the authoritarian believes in the absolute certainty of his own rule, the Democrat believes in the absolute necessity of skepticism. The inevitable conflict. The clash between these two forces is inevitable because they represent opposing views of humanity. Authoritarianism sees citizens as cogs in a machine, interchangeable and controllable, requiring a single operating manual provided by the state. Free speech sees citizens as unique creators, diverse, messy, capable of reason, and endowed with the sacred right to determine their own destiny. When a government fears a microphone more than it fears a missile, you know you are witnessing the core conflict. As power centralizes, The need for censorship intensifies. Governments that cannot tolerate criticism soon find they cannot tolerate independent thought at all. They seek to own not just printing presses and airwaves, but the algorithmic flow of information itself. The choice, therefore, is stark. We will concede our digital spaces and public squares to the gatekeepers who filter dissent and manipulate reality. Or will we fight for the chaotic, beautiful, often inconvenient right to speak our mind, to hear differing views, and to see the truth, even when it costs us comfort? Conclusion, the duty of voice. We must understand that free speech is never granted. It must be perpetually earned and fiercely defended. It is not a gift presented by the state. It is an inalienable right, and once surrendered, it is almost impossible to reclaim. The defense of this liberty requires extraordinary courage, especially in an age where authoritarian tactics have become globally sophisticated. This defense demands three things from us. First, the courage to speak, to challenge the lie, regardless of the platform, and to refuse to be defined by fear. Second, the commitment to listen, to defend the right of others to speak, even if their words bore or infuriate us. Because the freedom you deny others today will be the freedom denied to you tomorrow. And third, the resilience to endure, to accept that the journey toward truth is paved with debate, disagreement, and discomfort. Authoritarianism begins with an attempt to kill the voice. Let our response be the sound of millions of dissenting voices rising in unison. Let us prove that the iron fist is no match for the undeniable, unbreakable power of the human word. Let us speak freely. Let us listen openly. And let us never, ever surrender the right to truth. Thank you.